I wanted to follow up on this idea about the shortcut versus the circuitous route, the my will versus God's will, the idea that I thought I was getting away with something while no one was watching, trying to reward myself for what I should have been doing anyway. Kind of going back to this drawing here of the top of the mountain being the goal, whatever this is, whatever I'm looking for, happiness, success, money, a relationship. And then I come up with an idea that I know exactly how to get there. I have a shortcut, but there's actually a way to get there, which is the path of life. And I see this as God's will for me versus my will for me. And the paradox of all this is the insanity of all this is that my shortcuts have always taken me the longest way around, right? My rewards have always cost me the most. My attempts at becoming comfortable have always made me the most uncomfortable, right? Whatever my ideas have always been the antithesis of what I was trying to get. Um, and so I I used to do this exercise with a group where I would ask folks to write down. I'd give a large piece of paper and a marker and put in groups of six or seven and ask them to write everything it took on a daily basis to maintain their illness. And in most cases, the illness was substance use disorder, but it really could be anything. It could be it could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be sexual addiction, it could be gambling, it could be anything that one is struggling with, and just what it takes on a daily basis to maintain that. And they would the groups would get together and write down kind of everything it took to maintain this. And after they were done, I would hang these along the walls of the group room, and we would usually have, five or so groups, and usually they filled out one or two of these pieces of paper, and they had anywhere from 15 to 20 things they had to do every day. Um, Things like lying and cheating and causing fights and scheming, and then they would drill down with every single one of these. But the point was the amount of effort and energy it took to maintain the active illness. And it really is a 24/7 job to maintain this active illness. And again, in my estimation, I was looking for relief. I was looking for comfort. I was looking for escape. And all I found was absolute bondage. In my attempt at freedom, I found bondage. My attempt at escape, I found suffering and just this world where I was surrounded. And then I would contrast this idea of what does it take on a daily basis to have wellness. And if you contrast the two, it really doesn't take much on a daily basis to maintain wellness. It is difficult and takes a lot to start the path to sobriety and to go from the illness to recovery. But as far as maintaining wellness, there's only really a couple things you have to do every day. Now, the trick is you have to do them every day. And yesterday's list doesn't count for today. We get this 24-hour reset. And so, but it's really only four or five things that I found to do every day to maintain this path of wellness. And they're different for everyone because it's a personal journey, but they can be things like talk to another recovering person, read recovery related material, go to some sort of support group or meeting, help someone else, pray. Um, so that's there's 5 things, and so if you did that on a daily basis, you would make really great strides to becoming this person you're looking to become. That's just foundational. And I say all that because this idea occurred to me, and I don't know, I know where I first heard it, but I don't know where it first came from. But what really resonated with me was this idea that hurt people hurt people. And I know that Joyce Myers was the first person that I heard that from. And it made so much sense to me because I, as as awful as I was and as hurtful as I was to people, I didn't think I was a bad person, but goodness, did I know I was an injured person. I really knew I was broken down. And so it made a lot of sense to me. But what I now, Joyce says that from a point of doing a tremendous amount of work and using what happened to her and then really changing a lot of things in her life and becoming this completely different person. And I think that's a really important aspect of this, because we can't land on hurt people, hurt what you can, but it's not that helpful to land on hurt people and just stop there and just use it as an excuse. It's more just context. And so I have this formula that I like to use, that I think might be helpful, but it meant a lot to me because for a long time I used intellect to try to get better. And the formula that I like is that this idea that um, awareness and insight, right? These things are good to have. They're important to have. However, they do not equal change. Awareness and insight do not equal change. Awareness equals awareness. Insight equals insight. But these things will not change us. And I spent a lot of time just looking, but it's a hamster on a wheel. Just because I'm moving doesn't mean I'm making any progress. Now, I think that rather that action does equal change, right? Obvious, but I think it's done daily, right? So daily action, I wonder if this reads backwards. I just thought of that. I don't know. Well, figure it out. Action, daily action, that equals change. And it really is this idea. I should have done this before, but this is really not going to be great. Baby steps. Those are baby's feet. All right, but it's baby steps. So it's the idea of just a little bit at a time. 4 or 5 things that I do every day, but I do them every day. That's what equals change. So this would occur to me because I'm working in treatment for a number of years. People will come back and often say things like, "Well, I really don't need these lectures or these these groups. You know, I could do the lectures, and that was true. They could, but it didn't really do anything. And I knew all this stuff for so long. I taught all this stuff. I instructed all this stuff, but I was living a completely different life. And that's because all the awareness and insight didn't do anything for me because I didn't do anything with it. I didn't apply it. I didn't use it. I had this huge blind spot as to how that impacted me. And it wasn't until the scales fell from my eyes and I saw really what was happening. And then I started to do these different things on a daily basis, every day. I was one of these guys where I'm a sprinter, I'm a starter. I love starting things. And I get really excited out of the gates. But maintenance was never my strong suit. I I'd fall fast. You know, I'd go up and then just a sharp drop off. And the idea of maintaining on a daily basis, but just enough, right? Because the other idea is I don't want to pick 5 things I want to do. I want to pick a dozen things because I want to change everything today. It's too much. It's not sustainable. Anything that happens in nature is slow and steady. And so if you can pick 4 or 5 things of value, of meaning, and purposely do them every day, then this change starts to occur within. And that change builds on itself. And you start to realize that right living is its own reward. I don't need to go find this external reward for it. And my goodness, did that change everything for me? Because my whole life was, where am I going to get my reward for all this stuff that I'm supposed to be doing anyway? And I found that it wasn't out here, it was always in here, always. And I never looked here. It never occurred to me to look here. So all that awareness and insight really didn't help me. It was a part of the puzzle, but it didn't really do much to put things in perspective until I started doing the changes. So hopefully that rings true for some folks. Thanks.